My depression and panic attacks stopped because of this. What's up? My name is Strong, aka Strong Thenics. You can find me on Instagram, TikTok at strong_thenics. And I'm gonna be sharing a story about one of my deepest, darkest moments that helped me become the man that I am today and helped me become stronger physically and mentally. And I typed out some notes here, and to dive right into things, we gotta take it back to 2022, right? 2022 was when the struggles became real. 2022 was when I got real busy and my connection with the closest people that I had started disconnecting. Before then, I was a normal freshman in high school, hanging out with friends, doing homework, going gym, no real ambitious goals. Fast forward 2022, got pretty busy, sophomore in high school, started doing martial arts, balancing that with piano and college credit classes. And my friends started getting busy themselves too. Started developing their own intimate relationships. They had started having girlfriends, started having their own other group of friends to go to. Not saying that they I mean, it kind of felt like they abandoned me, but basically we just became more distant because of life. People get busy and sometimes they forget. But I got pretty lonely because when that busyness between us came, it separated the connection between us. And I just couldn't relate to anyone on my level, right? I just couldn't relate to anyone at my age, sophomore in high school. How many people do you know that are doing karate, piano, boxing, college credits at the same time? Not a lot of people. And I couldn't relate to most people my age because of that. I tried talking to my friends sometimes, tried hanging out with them sometimes, but it felt like I couldn't relate to them. And it just made me feel alone, isolated, like no one could understand me. And because of that, I fell into deep depression. I remember one moment in the summer of my heading into my junior year. I remember I reached out to this one friend. I used to have Snapchat back then, but I reached out to him. I forgot what it was about. It's something about my depression, but he responded in a way that didn't really help me be more comforting, have more comfort. It's just like I said, I couldn't really relate to anyone, and I felt like no one could really understand my situation, and that continued throughout my high school years. And that's when it all followed me. It followed me throughout when I was home, when I was driving my car, when I was at the gym. I remember crying at the gym once when I was at school. One time I put my head down, cried in silence, no one could see for a little bit, and it just felt like depression was my god because I couldn't escape it. I felt trapped, I felt alone, I felt confused. And the only one I had was God back then. Like, I don't know where I'd be if I didn't have God during that season. When I worshiped, when I got into his word, when I got to know God more, it gave me a sense of comfort, hope, and peace that no one else or no thing gave me. And that's what really helped me continue to keep pushing. I can't, when I think about it, I used to be like, maybe it'd be better if I die. What the heck? I used to think like that. But the fact that I had a family to take care of, the fact that I had God and my faith, all the more reason to keep going. And it got bad when it came to my thoughts and my battle and my mental health. Some days, some nights, I stayed up until 1 or 2 a.m. My thoughts racing. I had school the next day, but I couldn't sleep. It's like it just ruined my sleep, and then not having enough sleep ruined my day, and then that ruined my mood, and then the cycle repeats all over. And I had panic attacks too sometimes, where The day would end, go into my room, shut off the lights, and just cry because I don't know. If you know what panic attacks are, it's where, well, I don't know the exact definition, but I would go onto my bed, just cry myself to sleep, and my throat would close up. My eyes would obviously ball with tears, and it was just a dark time. I felt like I didn't have no one, and it continued even into my freshman year of college. And when I think back to my graduation day, it's kind of sad. During graduation, you're supposed to be happy, right? During graduation, you're supposed to be excited, but I was sad. You know, I was sad at the fact that my life was almost the same for 2 years, and I had no one to go on to this next chapter with. I went into my room just feeling so alone. I pushed through it. I had working out going for me. I love calisthenics. It's the whole reason I even decided to go into college, because I wanted to teach others how to become fit through calisthenics. And glory to God, I was blessed with a full ride scholarship, right? And that full ride scholarship had an orientation once before the whole semester started. And the same thing happened as it did on my graduation day. You're supposed to be excited for this new starting semester, but I was sad that I had no one. Same thing, really, bro. You've been struggling with this since 2022, sophomore year. Now you're a freshman in college. Why has nothing changed? That was my thought process back then. And without God, I don't even know how I would have gotten through all that. But here's when it changed. And like I said, I wanted to become a coach. So here's how that leads to this next part of my story. So I was going through YouTube, right? Going through the usual scrolling, going through the usual phone, whatever, and I saw an ad about some guy talking about, if you want to make this amount of money through online coaching, blah blah, something happened, and I went down the rabbit hole and I started my own business because I saw opportunity. I was like, online coaching, what the heck? You can teach people online and make money? What is that? What? So I took that opportunity into my hands, and soon enough I had my own business, right? And I'll be honest, I was not as serious the first 6 months. I thought it'd be easy money. I saw everyone getting some results. I was like, bro, if they got it, I should get it. But no, I didn't make a single dollar until like 7 months into my business. And here's when it changed, though, actually. Here's the part of my life where my mindset shifted, and it changed the course of how I moved. Summer of 2025, month of June, my mindset flipped. There was a switch that flipped in my head. So I had been planning this trip to go to Wyoming, go camping, go see some nature, go have some peace, have some relaxation, escape the stress of life. I planned that trip with my cousin ever since 2024 of October. But 2025 of June came. And then, long story short, it ended up not happening. It ended up, being canceled. And I was like, what the heck? I had been planning this trip for over half a year, wanting to escape the stress of life, wanting to find some peace and comfort in God's creation, in nature, in escaping my current situation. And now I can't do that. Now I can't go vacation, go find my peace. All right, how about this? How about I create a life where I don't have to escape it? How about I create a life where I don't have to vacate? And that just flipped the switch in me. If I can't go escape it. Let me create one that I don't have to escape, right? Let me create a life where I'm actually satisfied, where I can wake up not being depressed, right? I was tired of my situation. I wanted more from my life. And my business was the vehicle to that destination of more from my life, right? And that's when it really changed, like my mindset flipped so much. Like I thought in my head, I'm just gonna work hard enough to where I see that goal, that vision God has given me, it's gonna happen. I just gotta keep working. And I started listening to so many successful people: Andrew Tate, Luke Belmar, other entrepreneurs that are at a high level of success, to where they drop some gold nuggets of mindset that helped change my mindset and helped me get out of my depressing mindset, right? And from then on, I never had a depressing thought like that before. How I used to, right? I used to just think, I don't want to do this. Why am I living? But no, those thoughts don't happen anymore. Like those thoughts that used to just keep me up at night and have me entering panic attacks don't happen anymore. They're thoughts of, I need to build something for a life that I'm happy with. I need to build something for God. I need to build something bigger than myself. And I had something bigger than myself to build. And here's the whole takeaway from this story I'm telling you. So, what was I missing? I was missing more meaning from my life. And I pursued that with so many other things: karate, piano, boxing, but it just didn't work. But then I found my coaching business. I found a way to help other men get fit. I found a way to help other men get closer to God. I found a way to impact lives. I found a mission so bigger than my own ambitious self that it was worth the suffering, that it was worth the struggle, the isolation, the blood, sweat, and tears. It was worth the rejection, the misunderstanding. A mission so big that it's worth all those struggling and hard battles. That's what you need. If you want to get out of a depressing and hard life that you don't love, that you don't like, you need a mission. A mission bigger than yourself. And that's the whole takeaway. So that's my story. I hope they help at least one person watching this. And you just gotta keep having faith. Try to stay with a positive mental attitude. Stay close to God. Keep building and keep God first.